Hey guys, Sean here. I want to talk about one of the ways that you've been screwed over. All of you, or almost all of you, have been screwed over. Yep. Now, I try not to get too deep on negative topics only because it's good at times to bring awareness to certain things, but you don't want to have too strong of a negative emotional reaction because that's going to feed our friends, these non-physical beings that enjoy consuming negative emotions. So anyway, when I say they, I'm just going to keep it like that, I guess, for now, because they is a lot of different things. A lot of people have a lot of different understandings. And there's different levels, different layers, so of what they is. So we'll just leave it at that. So one of the ways they screwed you over. All right. See, long ago, our DNA was different. The DNA that our science has learned about based on the human form available to study these days in our recorded history, the DNA we have and have had for a long time, even before recorded history, that two-strand. Now, some people out there who are really, really buying in and have bought into the mainstream institutional sources of information are going to find what I'm saying way out there. So this is for those of you who are not in that category. Everyone's welcome to listen. But anyway, I just want to throw it out there for a second. So this two-strand DNA, it's a very different version than the DNA we used to have, us human beings here on what we call Earth. The DNA we used to have was much more developed. See, com- they compromised our DNA. They messed with our DNA. They changed, in a manner, our DNA. The main difference is they reduced it down significantly. So yes, there's different ways people can connect to that event. That event has been referred to by certain descriptions, the fall of man. And there's other religious connections of that event as well, but the fall of man is the one I like to use right now. So they messed with your DNA, and the human form changed quite a bit. You may have heard stories about this. Yes, there was influences on our DNA to shape us and help. They were to help others, but not in a way that we had choice. See, we didn't have choice in this matter. At this level, it's a whole different dialogue and discussion on if whatever is a higher version of you had choice or not. But these versions, this level, yeah, we didn't have choice. Our DNA was switched around, and it really screwed us over. So that is a really, really significant event in human history. And when our DNA was reduced, after they changed it around, there was many things that were what you would call a negative consequence. There was many negative things that came out of that reduction of the DNA. One of the biggest, most profound, most horrible things that came out of that is we lost certain abilities that we essentially should be born with. Abilities that were used all the time, abilities that went away. What kind of abilities? Well, telekinesis, the ability to move something with your mind. That was a thing. It's a thing today, but it is very rare. It is becoming more common very slowly. The energy currently is conducive to these abilities coming out a little bit in current humans. And there's reasons for that, but I'm talking about the past. So you lost the ability to move objects with your mind, including moving yourself. What happens if you move yourself with your mind? You fly, right? the Great Pyramid in Giza. It's so much older than what they say it is. And part of the mysterious puzzle of how it was built had to do with levitating objects with minds. Were they human minds? I don't know. But levitation was involved in some of the construction, possibly a lot of the construction. Anyway, let's get back to DNA. You lost the ability to levitate. You lost the ability to move objects with your mind. Teleportation. Yeah, the stuff you see in science fiction movies, science fiction TV shows, Star Trek. That's based on what we used to be able to do. It's not, I repeat, not fantasy or fiction. So yes, teleportation was a thing. All right. Telepathy. Talking with your mind to someone else, hearing someone speak to you in your mind. Now, in our recent history, people who have been abducted by gray aliens, as a lot of people would refer to them as, in recent history, people who have been abducted by aliens, often referred to as the Greys, but those individuals almost unanimously hear the person, being, consciousness speaking in their mind. They hear this being speaking in their mind. Telepathy. We used to communicate via telepathy all the time. Spoken words was a novelty, and a slow, clunky way to do it, it would be a novelty. All right? Kind of like when people sing. A lot of people sing songs, whether you're singing in the shower, singing in the car, just singing, whatever. Singing for a living. You sing, right? People sing. Some people hum a song, but it's much less common. So that would be like telepathy versus spoken out words. So yeah, we used to do that all the time. I'll just mention one more ability, the ability to discern or be able to tell intentions of others. There was no hiding intentions. So safety was a given. Here's something interesting I bet you never heard. The reason we can't find Bigfoots, why can't we find a Bigfoot, right? If they're real, why can't we? How come we haven't stumbled upon like one that has like passed away, or why have we not bumped into these creatures more than just this tiny bit of amount of times? If they're all over the world in these different continents, Yeti, abominable snowman, if they are real, the reason people never seem to be able to catch these beings is because they're very what we would call psychic. So they'll see us, they'll hear us in their minds coming from a mile away. So yeah, telepathy. And then the ability to discern another's intentions. And that's not even all of it. That's just the first part of two big things related to that topic. Yeah, they screwed with your DNA, so now you lost these abilities. Now here's the kicker. Here's the kick in the pants. Here's the BS. What did they do? Now, again, it's a broad category. But what did they do next? Well, they, long after that Fall of Man episode, modern times, the last 500 years, the last 100 years, current, the present, modern times, what did they do? Well, they set up a farm for us. I'm not a big fan of that analogy because I do not feel trapped in a farm or a zoo at all. I do not feel trapped. I feel very empowered in this reality, but I also understand there's a lot of negative forces out there. There's a lot of bad things out there. It's a free will. So no, I do not feel trapped in this reality. But yes. But there's still this farm vibe, and we're on the farm. All right? So, hey, if you're feeling not happy about that, it's hurting your ability to feel well, try to remember, circumstances don't matter. Your state of being matters. It's just some advice. That's all it is. It's advice. So, this farm they set up, What am I talking about? Be more specific, Sean. See, here's the kick in the pants I was talking about. They set it up the farm, this world, so that if anyone starts talking about, in a serious, not in a joking manner, in any kind of serious way, that these types of abilities that I just talked about were or are a real thing or possible, the farm was set up so that that person would get quieted up, hushed up, picked on, attacked, ridiculed. So you're on this farm. What am I talking about? See, this farm or this reality that we live in, this physical environment, and the cultural, societal noise influences the norms of this world. And the norms are pretty jacked up for a lot of reasons. Some are okay and some are not. But these norms, if you go against the norms, you get pushed down and hushed up. It's getting better nowadays. The further you go back, the harder it was, right? The kind of stuff that people talk about on YouTube somewhat freely today. Some of the things you can talk about. You couldn't talk about that in the 80s. You couldn't talk about that 15 years ago. People would talk about 9/11 and what that was all about. Back in 2010, 2011, approximately, people were getting psychiatrically evaluated against their will for posting things about 9/11 being sketchy on Facebook. Nowadays, at least on this platform, you can talk about that. So they set this farm up and designed society to make sure people won't ever be taken seriously about these topics, specifically these abilities we lost. Society was set up so that if anyone tried to say that was real, they would get pushed down and hushed up. Things that were not supposed to be brought to people's awareness and consciousness were attacked historically. It's wearing off. The spell's wearing off. We're at these end times now, and for some people that's bad, and for others it's good. But yes, the spell's wearing off. But historically, think about the people who had intuition, high levels of intuition. We could call it psychic abilities. Think about people in the past, the Salem witch trial days, or the witches being, there's bad things connected to that. People who talk about teleportation, telekinesis, and these types of things in a serious way, not a joking way, in a serious way, are picked on, ridiculed, and basically attacked. If you are somewhat higher on the food chain, politician, a big personality on the radio, and you start talking about this off the table, not supposed to talk about it subjects, what happens? You're not going to stay as A-level celebrity. No, unless it's very rare, but most likely you're going to get hushed up one way or another. They're going to get out of that rich and famous position if they keep talking about what they're not supposed to talk about. There's a lot of examples out there, a lot. All right, we'll talk more later. I love you guys.